Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healthy X Sundays podcast, where we bring to you the most important and actionable information in the nutrition and fitness space. I'm your host, Kunal Jain, also known as Veg Diet Coach. Today, our guest is Devanand Prabhu, the founder of Mind Muscle Project. Dev needs no introduction, especially here on X. His work and reputation precede him. He puts out some of the most well researched and valuable content about health and fitness on social media. He has an enviable list of clients who have transformed their health and their lives through his team's personalized coaching programs. We all love and celebrate his work here. I have had the privilege of co hosting some amazing guests with Dave on the HealthyX Sundays podcast, but today is a special day where I get to host Dave as our guest. Please stay tuned to understand the very serious metabolic health crisis in India and the ways to safeguard yourself and avoid unnecessary medical pills and bills. As a bonus, we have a live Ask Me Anything session with Dave towards the end. Welcome again, Dave.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you. Thank you for the grand introduction. Thank you. So,
Absolute pleasure.
Mhm.
So let's talk about like what is the metabolic health crisis India is facing.
All right. So, obviously, as everyone knows, we as a country is facing a serious metabolic issue, say, metabolic crisis. You can't just any household in your family itself, you'll find at least one person with either diabetes or a fatty liver, hypertension, PCOS. You'll find at least one person in your family. You'll find at least one person in your immediate family with any of these disorders. So that is what we are talking about today, the metabolic crisis. So
Right.
the and what I believe in and what I know from all the coaching experience and everything is that this is a serious problem. This is a serious problem. It's not something that uh, started a few years ago or something. This is something that's going as an ongoing process. We are going deeper and deeper into this crisis. And unless we take steps to avoid this, we will this will be the biggest problem in the country. It is not going to be, it's not corruption, it's not uh, wars or anything. The biggest crisis our country will face in the future is we're gonna be a metabolically crippled nation. That is the biggest challenge on our hands, and that is where we as coaches and doctors roles become so important. And more than this, people should get involved as well.
Completely agree, Dave. The metabolic crisis you talked about, obesity, diabetes, fatty liver, hypertension, is this restricted to just the elderly group or the seniors, or is it also impacting the kids and the young generation these days?
So over the last decade or so, that is the major change that has been happening. It's no longer restricted to seniors or senior citizens. The age demographics has come down a lot. So what used to be disorders you get in your late 40s or 50s are now getting to people in their 30s. Like 30s has become the new 40s. And worst part is getting to our kids as well. We are dealing with kids. Like I've seen myself had the opportunity to handle a case of a kid with a 13-year-old with a grade 3 fatty liver. So that is the seriousness of the issue.
Yeah, this is becoming like a bigger problem day by day. And we spoke about these common problems, diabetes, fatty liver, obesity. Are there any other sort of metabolic related uncommon health complaints which you have dealt with and you want to just quickly mention? We'll definitely discuss them in more detail later.
So anything and everything, I believe, like I personally believe every problem is in some way a metabolic issue. Like either it's a metabolic issue or it's an issue of nutrient deficiency. These are the two root causes which I can say exist, and everything, even diseases such as cancer has a metabolic root behind it. It's being explored in detail now. So there are so many diseases, so many conditions which people don't even take seriously, like acidity, bloating. These are all some in some way interconnected to metabolic health, poor metabolic health. Uh, so these are the common conditions. A lot of common conditions as such. Skin issues. Skin issues is something that's very common. Um, you get a lot of cases of skin issues these days. Uh, then there is people with fertility issues. Fertility in women is PCOS, and in men it is dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, ED. So these are all basically metabolic issues, metabolic poor metabolic health manifesting in different ways.
That's right. So, Dev, are these problems restricted to a particular food preference or a diet preference like veganism, vegetarianism, or non-vegetarian diets, or is it common across all?
So we work with clients across the country. Like I've like we have dealt with, I could say, around 18, 19 states in the country. We have dealt with cases. So what I can say from our experience or from my experience is that, like, the food may vary, the flavors may vary, but the common theme is the same across all of Indian food. It's high in carbs, a lot of seed oil, and barely any protein. This is the common theme. So this is why we have this issue across the spectrum. It's not limited to vegetarians or non-vegetarians, and I personally don't think there are any true non-vegetarians in India. It's all occasional meat eaters or occasional non-veg eaters than true non-vegetarians.
That's right. So, when we talk about metabolic health problems, are there ways to look at a person and say that this person might be suffering from a problem, whether it's the body type or skin issues? What are the common parameters people can use at home to determine whether they're going down a spiral towards bad metabolic health? Even before we talk about blood tests, is there a way to determine your health is going down?
So the simplest way to test for this or to check uh, would be the mirror. Just rely on the mirror. You can just see yourself in the mirror. If you have a pot
Right,
belly, means something is not fine. That's the simplest way to know things. Or if you want to get into the metrics of things, you can go for a waist to height ratio and such calculations. But generally, just look in the mirror, you get the idea.
right. So I think one of the most important things is to get the blood work done for anyone who is serious about their health and wants to assess the health. So what kind of blood tests, apart from the ones which people go for packages, etc., are there some tests which should be included and which can actually give you more time to work on your health?
So, yes. So, you can get a variety of tests. So there are two aspects to this. One is people don't get the right test for whatever reason. I think lack of information. They don't get the right test. People go behind tests like simple lipid profile, fasting glucose. These are the tests which people commonly take. Another problem is they don't know how to assess it, and doctors don't give in enough time to assess this properly. So these are the two challenges. As far as I am concerned, the main parameters you should always track is HbA1c. For those of you who don't know, HbA1c is basically a 3 month average of your blood sugar. So, unlike your fasting glucose or your postprandial glucose, this doesn't vary much. It's like an average over 3 months. So this is one test which I recommend everyone to get done. Another very important test is fasting insulin, which unfortunately most people don't know about. You need to measure insulin values in your blood because insulin gives the early indication towards metabolic syndrome. You don't get that. It might take 5 years, 10 years before it becomes a problem, but you'll get the early indication from insulin value. So insulin, fasting insulin, or even better is the postprandial insulin. So
Right.
insulin is probably the best indicator for metabolic issues. Another test, a third most important test would be the lipid profile. Again, when it comes to lipid profile, it's about analyzing it right. You can analyze in multiple ways. The way most people do it is just go through the total cholesterol numbers, and if that is above a point or LDL is above a point, they see it as a problem. So that is not the way to deal with things. But these are the like the most important tests. Then your vitamins B12, B9, vitamin D. These are all these are all important tests. You could test your liver function test, which is not so reliable, but it's useful as well. Kidney function test, iron panel in women. Iron panel is an important thing. You can usually get your CBCs done. Uh, Whenever you go for a test, most labs do the CBCs. And if it's a vegetarian, if a person is a vegetarian, I would ask for something
Right.
like a homocysteine. So these are the common tests, but at least these three, the HbA1c, fasting insulin, and lipid parameters, lipid profile, these three things is a must. Everything else depends on the person. Like, and as far as packages are concerned, you can get a lot of good packages from different labs. So that would be the way to go. It could be the most, that would be the better way to go because it saves you some money as well if you go for a package. And what I suggest to the clients is go for a package, and whatever test is not there in the package, please add it separately. That saves you the money.
Right. And Dave, do you want to shed some light on the reference values which these laboratories use? Like for fasting insulin, I think 26 is considered normal, but I think it should be much lower. So,
Right.
what do you think about the reference ranges, and how should we be like more informed? Instead of getting ill, we should try to understand that when the problem is happening.
Right. So the labs come up with reference ranges based on something called as a normal distribution, or those who don't know, it's the bell curve basically, right? So over the time they collect data of the tests being done, the values being done, and the normal range is considered like the nine is made in such a way that 95% of the people fit into that range. That's how the ranges are made. For example, for
Right,
fasting, that is how the ranges are made. The 5% who falls out, like 2.5, who doesn't make in the lower end and who doesn't make on the higher end, are considered outside the range or abnormal or whatever you call it. But 95, their ranges are made with 95% of the population fitting in, right? So now imagine that, look at the condition of health in our country. Most people are unfit. So in a country where everybody is metabolically unfit, being metabolically unfit is the norm, is become the normal thing, and that is why these ranges are faltering. And one might be wondering, what about tests like HbA1c? Is it that based on this? No. So tests like HbA1c is based on, like, the values are determined as per the official guidelines. So there is no range thing there, right? It's like less than 5.7 means normal. That is the set guideline. But for
right,
tests like insulin, where the labs ranges vary. Some labs have a maximum value of 22.5, some have up to 25. So this is the problem. And if the person doesn't know how to analyze this, you might see a value of 24 and assume all is well. So that is where people are faltering. And unless some practitioner like us or doctors explain this, people don't get this point. So as far as the lab ranges are concerned, we want what should be optimal for your body, not just falling into the normal range. And there is enough proof to suggest that once your fasting insulin is above 6, uh, metabolism takes a hit. So this is the value we like to go by. We like our clients to keep the value of fasting insulin less than 6. Same way for other parameters also. For example, a common thing, vitamin B12. Somebody, like, I talk to vegetarians a lot, and they say their reports and they are like having values say 250, and they assume it's normal. 50 is fine, but what they don't realize is that it's on the lower end. At least 250 might be enough to surpass or not be affected to the most gravest of the issues when it comes to deficiency, but it's not optimal at all. You need at least 500 is what I recommend. So that is the
Right.
difference between and normal, and people don't get this. And if I have to explain another way, I just want to use an analogy. Like, okay, people will get this. So suppose
Okay.
your shoe size in India is between 7 and 10. Okay, so anything between 7 and 10 is considered normal, and your shoe size is actual shoe size is 10, but the shoe seller insists that wear 7 because it falls in the normal range. You are still in discomfort, but the shoe seller insists it's normal only. This is in the normal age. You please wear it. That is the case. That is where a lot of these things are going. What we call subclinical. It's not determined in the lab test unless we analyze the whole uh, parameters and everything. If we don't do a detailed analysis, they miss out on a lot of things for this reason. So always keep in mind, optimal and normal are not the same thing, and try to optimize your health, not just be in some normal range. That is not what we want. We want to feel the best.
Exactly. They So typically, a person goes gets the blood work done, then goes sees a physician. The physician will give some guidelines that okay, cut down a bit of fried items, go for a walk, etc. This way, you can reduce a few kilos, which is right. Reducing kilos will definitely improve your health, and maybe in some cases, medication is started. But we feel that the bigger role here is about the diet and nutrition. So when we say that food is a medicine or food can become medicine. So, what is your understanding or your take on medications versus improving your health through food primarily instead of medications?
So uh, it's a tricky area, right? So obviously we prefer the approach of taking fixing your health through diet and nutrition and lifestyle changes. Is that's what we advocate, right? But I understand the doctor's perspective also. When you deal with enough clients, you get the realization that even you can provide the best thing in the world, but some people are not willing to follow, and they need medication. And what happens in India is, for example, say somebody with hypertension, everybody has the mind to not take meds. Everybody is concerned about the side effects of med, but they are not willing to do what is required to stay healthy. They are not doing what is required to stay off the meds. So that is where trouble starts. You are you want to get off meds, but you're not doing what is required. So it's neither here nor there, and that's where people's health screws up badly. So I understand the doctor situation as well, but yeah, we would always urge the person. We would ask the person to get into a proper diet, proper lifestyle, and once the numbers start improving, uh, then medication can be reduced. In most cases, medication is can be reduced. So this is the approach we go for. We don't go for we don't ask them to go. Obviously we don't do that. We get the support of a doctor, but even then we don't request the doctor, or any, we don't ask the person to consult a doctor immediately and get off medication, because it takes time. We need to get that proof that this person can eat this diet, this person has it in him or her to uh, basically sustain or pull it off, right? When we get the proof, then we can say, give them the green signal. Please go consult the doctor of our we suggest, and please get the meds adjusted according to his preference.
Right. So how would you motivate a person who basically most of the people who are prescribed medicines, they feel that okay, the medicine is now taking care of the bad lifestyle or taking care of the health issue, and people tend to continue with the same old lifestyle, which actually probably might have caused that medical issue. So, how would you motivate a person? Would you tell them that the long-term side effects of medications are much worse and it's better to move to a better diet or better nutrition and take the problem sort of heads on instead of relying on medications, which only increase over time?
So, uh, okay, I have to be frank here. This doesn't work with 100% of the people, right? This doesn't work. Let's say you get 60%, you get to convince 60% of people. We are happy with that, because 40%
Right,
will always be skeptical. So, how we motivate them? Uh, the worst, like what I say is, try try this diet, try a particular, try the diet, we say, try this change lifestyle at least for a month. We are asking you a month, nothing more, and you will see the difference. And once they see the difference, they start following automatically without much hesitation. So it's just about showing them, like and another thing which I suggest is that, like yeah, about the medication, I tell them what a medication does, what impacts does it have on the body. So that is the way I'd motivate them. And those who and you can, like, some people aren't convinced, then talk about the finances of it. That also helps, right? Like somebody
right,
who's taking insulin for so long, how expensive is it? You're taking this for a month, you're taking like 7K 8K worth of medicines a month, you're taking this for an year, you're taking this for over 20 years. That's costing you a fortune. Instead of that, you invest a portion of it in your proper diet and food, your issue is sorted out. It's simple as that. So you have to use different approach to deal with different people. But like I tell them straight, if it's a little older folks, then have to use some other approach. But generally, you I tell them straight, and they, at least those who at least follow it for a month or so, get the results, get enough results to motivate them for the longer run. So that's how our process.
great. So, apart from the diet aspect, there's a big role of exercise in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So, what approach do you think works the best? Which is the simplest approach if someone is really sedentary and they have made a decision to make a better lifestyle change? So, what do you think is the best approach? How they can start slowly and build up the pace?
So absolutely, workout or exercise is the second most important thing, compared to, like, after work, after diet and nutrition. Workout is the most important thing. So where to start? Good question. Where to start? Uh, it depends on the person's current health, right? So when I ask somebody for a blood work and I get their reports, if I see that their blood work is not up to the mark, say they have a severe B12 deficiency, I don't ask them to go for an intense workout. I tell them, like, let's hold on the workout. Let's give it a few weeks. Let's supplement whatever is necessary. Let's hold it. Then we slowly get into workouts. And I'm a huge fan of strength training. Cardio is secondary. I don't think cardio is bad, but strength training is the number one thing. So even for a skinny person, for an obese person, or for anyone, I tell them go to the gym with the simple mindset of building muscle, nothing else. You are not trying to lose weight, you are not trying to do anything else. Simply go to the gym. I want to build muscle, lift as if you want to build muscle. And that obviously takes time. So it's a slow process. It's about, again, it's about getting that consistency. And so that is how it works. And the analogy I something I tell everyone, as something I tell everyone is, there are basically three levers. That's the concept I use. Three levers of metabolic health: uh,
Mm-hmm.
diet, workouts, and fasting, or you can say carbohydrate control, fasting, and workouts. So these are the three tools or the three levers at your hand, at your disposal, to maintain good metabolic health. You should be able to at least pull two or turn on two of these switches at any moment, and then your metabolic issues are sorted. Yeah, granted that if somebody has some severe issue, then they have to do all three, but most people can get away with just doing just two. So what I mean by that is, if somebody cannot find the time to exercise, somebody is like super busy. Yeah, we deal with a lot of super busy clients, and people might say nobody can, why don't they find at least half an hour to work out? But there are people like that. Seriously, I didn't think so, but there are people like that who cannot even find 20 minutes for whatever reason. Because so what I tell them is, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
granted, not do any strength training as such, you cannot do anything, but make your day very active. And for those folks, my the tools at my disposal to help them with their metabolic health are carbohydrate restriction and fasting. I double down on these two aspects. If you cannot work out, and for other scenarios like vegetarians, like you know very well, it's not very easy to be very low carb. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not
Right.
possible, but it could get a little boring and stuff. So because of the lack of choices, so going very low in carbs, say 20 grams, 30 grams, and all is not possible. Like 100, is 80 to 120 range. I think most people could. So those who cannot really restrict carbohydrates, I ask them to double down on fasting and workouts. You have to do these two: fast, a lot of fasting, a lot of strength training, I recommend. And the third scenario is somebody who doesn't like to fast, right? Some people find
Mm-hmm.
fasting very, that's a minority, but those who cannot fast at all for whatever reason, go restrict carbohydrates, work out. So this is the common logic. This is the simple logic. Three tools: fasting, carbohydrate restriction, and workouts. Do any two consistently, your metabolic health will be okay. If you are in significant, you are dealing with a significant issue, a severe issue, then you might have to do all three.
Right. So this is like the trifecta: your diet, your nutrition, your exercise, and the fasting. So once a person probably reverses some of the metabolic health problems, is it necessary for that person to be as severe on these restrictions lifelong, or can they then be a little bit, do they, have they earned a bit of leeway in terms of living a more normal life, because people like to go back, eat the normal stuff. So what
So,
is your take on this?
very interesting point. So, to be honest, when like you cannot go back to your old ways and expect the same health, like the results to be different this time. You simply cannot go back to your old ways. But having said that, is there a leeway? Yes, I would say so, but again, depends on the case, right? Depends on the person to person. Somebody who's been diabetic for say 10 years, or somebody who had a metabolic issue for a long time, will struggle with
Hmm.
this. The body might not recover to its full capacity for you to, you know, get a
Right.
bit more. But anyway, I feel if you're smart about it, you can get a bit of leeway. And again, going back, the the three tools at your disposal, right? That is the way to
Right.
handle things. But I feel that, and the challenge, one more thing is that I find that from my experience of dealing with people, I find that, and my personal experience as well, like about my own habits, I feel that it's easier to eliminate something. Right? I can eliminate. I cannot have bread. I'll be fine with that. But if
Right.
I have a bit of bread and stop at it, or something like that, like moderation is much more harder for me and than total elimination. And I find this unbelievable, but I find this with like 80% of the clients agree. So like I ran this poll in within our clients group also, and they agree. So I ran this poll in Twitter also, and unbelievable, but this is the way it is. People, moderation is not so easy. It's easier to not eat at all than to
Right.
have half. You're like, so this is the thing. And the problem again with the more belief is that it's a slippery slope and people go totally off
Back.
it. So
Yeah.
that is like, have that control. If you have some mechanism to keep yourself under control, then it's fine, but not something for everyone. So you have to be smart about it. You can. It's something you have to figure out on your own rather than us or some doctor helping. It's something up to you to figure out. But grave conditions, for severe conditions, for long term conditions, this is not possible. It's better. Anyway, like I don't feel there is a requirement to totally do that as well. So you have to find that sweet spot.
Yeah, that's the right word, the sweet spot. Because once you go start going back to a bit of those carbs and fried things, it's a slippery slope. Some people can sort of then go into a yo-yo mode. Whatever progress they made, they can lose it. So it's better to then find alternate sources of food which are like low carb and can still help you maintain a good variety of food and everything for people who are foodaholics or who enjoy their food. So definitely it's something which people can figure out. But to reach that stage, they need to go through this entire process, see the benefit, and then probably make a call whether they want to continue or not. And so let's move on to the micronutrient deficiencies in the body. And what are the role of supplements, Dave?
Okay, so okay, people. So there is a general notion out there among Indians that supplements is bad. Right? Unless it's tagged herbal, people believe supplements is bad. So there are reasons why we ask for supplements. Right? Number one, there are deficiencies in your diet which you cannot overcome, like the deficiencies in your body which you cannot overcome through diet. You obviously have
Right,
to go for, simple as that. And number two, suppose you are in a certain situation where your body needs healing, a faster healing, and you require higher amount of that particular nutrient more than you can get from food immediately, then you have to go for a supplement. Right? These are the two cases of supplement usage. First one, like for instance, vitamin B12. It's a very common deficiency among Indians, vegetarians and non-vegetarians, both, to be honest. Like non-vegetarians might have it like a 50 points, 50 units above vegetarians, but that's all. There's no difference as such. So how do a vegetarian get B12? There are no proper sources. The only source will be the fortified food, which again comes with its own challenges, its own health issues. So how do we get these vitamins, like B12, for instance? You have to supplement. That is the only way. There is no other way. And
right,
second case, healing, faster healing. Say, suppose you had a joint injury or something, and getting in collagen will help with the healing process. So you're taking supplementing with collagen. That's a simple thing because you want to accelerate the process. So it's simple as taking a med during a illness. Nothing more. And we we don't like we try to keep supplements to the minimum. Not that they are bad or anything. It's just that uh, people don't find it comfortable. If we like, the obvious thought in people's mind, are these people affiliated with some company or something? Are they getting cuts? And is that the reason why they're pushing supplements? So we feel that they are not comfortable. So that is one of the reasons we don't unnecessarily ask for supplements. But yeah, there are a few supplements which are essential for most people.
Right. And once the deficiency is sort of taken care of, then the supplements can be lowered and there can be a maintenance level of supplements. So it's not that someone has to take them forever. But sometimes there's no other option but to supplement externally. You can't get everything through food.
Exactly, spot on. So supplements like cannot be like, it's not wise to have supplements throughout. So wherever it is possible to lower the dose or get off it after a while, that is the plan, right? Like once your diet kicks in and the deficiencies are addressed, then ideal case we wouldn't be needing that particular supplement, but at least you periodically get on and off it, or you get into a maintenance dose. That is the better approach. It's not like you keep on taking supplements at the same dose. That doesn't work.
Right. So Dev, what are the program which you have for your clients? What kind of sort of, you want to share some details about that? How does it look like a typical program?
So every client, basically anybody, I don't care like if it's a 10-year-old or a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old, everything for us starts with blood markers. That's the most important thing. Obviously, blood markers, what we ask them will be different, but based on their requirements from our understanding. But everything starts with blood markers for us. Blood markers are the primary point of reference we use to assess people's health. Then another, then we take other parameters into account as well. BMI. I know BMI is not the biggest, most accurate thing, but we do keep a BMI in mind as well. Waist to height ratio, a few markers like I mentioned, fasting insulin, HbA1c, lipid profile. So these
Right.
markers and the other markers are kept in mind. So that is the, and most important, the what the client can do, what the person can do. If the person can't do, me giving some theoretical stuff doesn't really help, right? So ultimately the person should be able to follow. So discussions are the most important thing. So after discussing and explaining to them, these are your markers, what is going wrong and what should be done, we more or less agree on some roadmap or some diet to follow, right? It's a I don't use the word diet plan. It's an outdated stuff. I want to use the word
Right.
it's more or less diet guideline or more diet strategy, whatever you like to call it. So we give them guidelines as how to follow, and obviously we give them recommendations as far as supplements is also required. And we have a team tracking every client. We like one, I am myself include myself personally get involved in all the clients, but we have a team. We have a 3-member team at the moment handling every single case. So day in day out we get update, we get feedbacks, we give feedbacks, uh, we communicate with them, we get on calls whenever necessary. So this is basically the gist of our process. uh, yeah, so this is very much hands on. We believe to make it very hands on. And if I may add, one of the complaints I from people when I first talk is that they say like, you guys listen to me so much, but my doc. So that is the void we are trying to fill. Doctors unfortunately have to cater to a lot of patients, so the attention is somewhere lacking. They just here for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, they just start prescribing meds. So I can. literally feel the sigh of relief people get just when I just listen to them. Just listen to them. I don't care if it takes 30 minutes. I don't care if it takes 45 minutes. I don't care if it wraps up in 10 minutes. I like unless like I give them enough time to speak so that they can tell about their stuff, what is going through, and simply by me listening or simply by our team members listening, uh, that itself is huge relief. That is something I feel nutritionists and doctors and everybody is missing this trick. In a hurry to cater to a mass audience, we just want to make push people into this corner. So like it's we are as if we are telling them you don't know anything about yourself. We know, just follow us. That's not how it works. Yeah, you have more knowledge than them, you are more experienced than them, but it's their body, so we have to listen to them. So that is the most important thing in our program. And another thing I am very particular about, when we started this venture, one thing we are very particular, I am very particular about is that a client should walk away with sufficient information. The person should be able to handle himself or herself after the program is done. It shouldn't be like you do this, you lose some weight, and you go back to square one. That is failed, right? That might be
Yep.
enough. That might be enough to get us to make us a few bucks, but that's not the point of it. We want people to be able to handle themselves, help their family members out. That's how you pay it forward. Like I have clients who we have clients who have fixed their health and they themselves fix the health of the family members. So we are that's how we grow, right? That's how the whole we want this process to continue, and we want people to be educated. You like once somebody does our program, 99% of the people should not don't go back for any other program, right? I they don't go back because we were very particular. This should be the last program you enroll in your life regards to health, because at least like regards to nutrition and stuff, because
Right.
we had information has to be passed on. If that is not done, it's just half the results, and that's not something we want.
Yeah, that's great because one success, nothing succeeds like success, they say. So one success story will lead to more. People will then want to make like health better for their loved ones. So this process has to carry on, and that's the whole point of spreading the knowledge, spreading the right knowledge about nutrition, right?
Absolutely.
So I think we will move to AMA, but before that, ask me anything round. Do you want to share any success stories highlighting in how quick amount of time can people start seeing changes or anything you like, any success stories?
You can see the first signs of change as quick as 2 weeks. That's what I believe in. Obviously, it depends on the person's conditions and how they follow, but you follow it correctly as quick as 2 weeks, you see some signs. And the way we structure program, like we give them like a 3 month as a starting option, and the reason for that is like 3 months or 100 days. We believe like that is sufficient time to get into this get into the deeper end, you can say, like get into it. Yeah, it might not get all the results you are aspiring for in 3 months. That would be too much to ask for, but you will get into a good place. You will get into a good place as far as your knowledge is concerned. You will get into, if you have been consistently following for 3 months, make no doubt about mistake about it. You formed a habit. You formed a habit. So 3 months of hand holding, 3 months of education, 3 months of doubt clearing. So basically, that's enough span to kickstart your journey. Kickstart in a very significant way. But further process, either you do it yourself or with our help itself. It will uh, depends on the condition, but it will be very easy.
Right, Dave. Anything else you want to add before we move to AMA? Anything you want to share?
So there's nothing particular I want to share, but I just want to give one final message. So take your metabolic health very seriously. Right? I see people saying it's just a fatty liver. I have a fatty liver. I have a PCOS. I have a pre-diabetes. People take this very, very lightly. And please don't do that, because you have to be healthy for yourself, your family, and everyone. And no good can come when you ignore such aspects, right? You can, like, bury your head in the sand and assume all is well, but that gets you nowhere. So don't be ignorant. Do your blood test. Yeah, it might cost you 2,000, 3,000 bucks every few months. Yeah, I understand it, but go do get those blood tests done. Analyze it properly. Either you learn to analyze it, there are enough content in YouTube, in our tweets, in your tweets. Like, so there is enough content. Get the understanding of what is going wrong with you. Make changes. Invest in food. Invest in food. Invest in food doesn't mean buying avocados or blueberries on a regular basis. That is not what I mean. Invest in quality food. Invest in food. Yeah, it varies from person to person, but invest in good stuff. Invest in protein rich food, fat rich food, right? So this
Right.
is what I your health seriously. That's my final message.
Great. Thanks, Dave. So we have a few listeners here. Anyone would like to ask any question to Dave? I can give you the mic. If there are no questions, then I think we can wrap it up, Dave.
Yeah, 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 sure.
Right? So thanks
Yeah.
everyone for joining in. And thank you, Dave, for sharing incredible insights on the Healthy X Sundays podcast. Everyone, please follow Mind Muscle Pro on social media and contact him to learn more about his programs if you're interested in kickstarting your health journey. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Healthy X Sundays podcast. Join us next week for another live podcast with a new guest. Until then, stay healthy, stay happy, and take care. Thank you.